सर इधर आ जाइए। तो हमने सर अभी आ जाए सर मिलने के लिए भी, और बातचीत चल ही रहा था सर से, कनेक्टेड तो रहते ही थे हम लोग। तो फिर सर ने बोला चलो एक गाइडेंस मैं प्रोवाइड कर देता हूँ कि कैसे हम प्रिपेयर कर सकते हैं डेटा साइंस और एआई में, मशीन लर्निंग किस लेवल का हम पढ़ सकते हैं, क्योंकि इस फील्ड में अभी भी नॉलेज लैक हो रहा है लोगों का। बहुत ज्यादा नॉलेज लोगों को नहीं है, अभी चीजें इसमें क्या हो रही हैं, डेवलप हो रही है। अभी ये नहीं मालूम है किस टाइप के क्वेश्चन यहाँ पे पूछे जाएंगे। तो जो भी क्वेश्चन सब लेके आएंगे जो आईटी से पढ़ाया जा रहा है, ठीक है, जो आपका एनपीटीएल वीडियोस वगैरह है वहाँ पे जो असाइनमेंट वगैरह है, वही सबसे लोग लेके आएंगे, ठीक है। अभी आपके जो सीनियर्स हैं जो ऑलरेडी एमटेक कर चुके हैं, जो आईटीज के अंदर में हैं या कर चुके हैं, वो लोग अभी इस कोर्स को डेवलप कर रहे हैं। हमने भी उनको काम दिया हुआ है कि इस कोर्स को डेवलप करके दो, कि कैसे इसको पढ़ाना है, क्या क्या चीजें होती हैं। तो कुछ हद तक हम लोग डेवलप कर ले गए हैं। तो सर भी यहाँ पे रहेंगे, और सर यहाँ पे ऑफलाइन क्लासेस भी आपको प्रोवाइड करेंगे। डेटा साइंस जैसे सीएस में चलता है अपना अभी तक, कि किसी को सीएस में पढ़ना है तो सिद्धार्थ सर के पास जाना है। मतलब भिलाई में तो ऐसा है माहौल, और 18 साल से है ये, प्रचार करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ता है। तो मैं अपनी तारीफ खुद ही कर लेता हूँ। ठीक है, करना पड़ता है तभी तो लोग मेरी तारीफ करेंगे ना। तो वैसे डेटा साइंस और एआई में भी हम फ्यूचर में ऐसा एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा हूँ। सर का जो कि हम पढ़े हुए हैं, और सर का पढ़ाने का तरीका हमको पता है, और सर किस तरीके से पढ़ाते थे, और हम लोग सीखे इनसे कि कैसे पढ़ाना चाहिए, ये भी सीखे। क्योंकि यदि आपको पढ़ाना पड़ेगा तो आप किसके नकल करोगे आज की डेट में। आपने सिद्धार्थ सर से पढ़ा है, कॉपी पेस्ट मारोगे सीधा, कुछ मसाला वसाला डाल के उसमें। सीधी सी बात है, हमारा कोई भी स्टूडेंट पढ़ाना चाहेगा तो आधी से ज्यादा चीजें तो मेरा ही कॉपी करेगा। ये आपके कॉलेज में देखो, कुछ टीचर आते हैं जो हमारे यहाँ पे पढ़ के जाते हैं, लाइन बाय लाइन मैच होता है। तुम्हें लोग आके बोलते हो सर तो पूरा लाइन बाय लाइन मैच हो रहा है। तो वही होता है। तो हम लोग भी सर से काफी कुछ सीखे, तो हमको आइडिया है सर का पढ़ाने का तरीका, नोट्स बनाने का तरीका। जैसे आप लोग एक्सपेक्ट करते हो सिद्धार्थ सर है कि एक चीज का नोट्स लिखवा देते हैं, व्हाट इज कंप्यूटर का भी नोट्स लिखवा देते हैं। वैसे सर ये सब चीजें हम लोग ने सीखा कहाँ से, सर से सीखा। कि भाई किसी भी चीज को ऐसे मत लेके चलो कि हमको आता है, ये वर्ड हमको आता है। प्रॉपर डिफिनेशन देखना जरूरी है। जब तक प्रॉपर डिफिनेशन पता नहीं रहेगा तो उसके आगे आप कैसे सोच पाओगे उसके बारे में। ठीक है, ये सब चीजें हमने सर से सीखा है। सर लोगों ने गाइड किया है। इनको हम लोग देखते थे, नकल करते थे सर कैसे पढ़ा रहे हैं, इनके नोट्स को देखकर। ठीक है, तो वो सब चीजें आपको सर से, बाकी सर का एक्सपीरियंस आप लोग साथ में अभी सर शेयर करेंगे। तो सर थोड़ा सा इनको गाइड करिए कि कैसे हम मशीन लर्निंग एआई में, और किस लेवल तक फ्यूचर में आने वाला है, और इसमें गेट में कितना अच्छा कर सकते हैं।
इधर कर, ठीक है ना, कर देते। Very good afternoon. And this is new to me. This technology is new to me, and I'm very much thankful to Siddharth sir for giving me an opportunity to teach you in front of the student. This is my first interaction with you. और सबसे बड़ी बात जो है, जो मैंने जब मैंने एज ए फैकल्टी एज ए कैरियर चॉइस अपना ज्वाइन किया था, और बीआईटी से मैंने अपना कैरियर चालू किया था इन द ईयर 2000। I completed my that BTech in the year 95, and I pursue as a production manager in the industry, where I learned a lot how to that debug the actual electronic circuit. Being a good faculty, you must have idea how to debug the hardware components, how to identify the different kinds of faults. So it is very, very difficult. So as फॉर द टीचर इज कंसर्न, जैसा अगर टीचर के बारे में कहा जाए, तो टीचर का फर्ज बनता है कि अगर मेरे क्लास में 60 स्टूडेंट है, तो मैं हर एक स्टूडेंट की क्वेरी को सेटिस्फाई करूं। नॉट कि मेरे पास 5% या 10% स्टूडेंट है और मैं उसकी क्वेरी को सेटिस्फाई करूं और मैं केवल उन्हीं को फोकस करूं। तो मेरा जो फर्ज बनता है, बिकॉज अगर एक स्टूडेंट मेरी क्लास में आके सेटिस्फाई होता है और बाकी स्टूडेंट सेटिस्फाई नहीं होते, तो कहीं ना कहीं मैं अपने इस प्रोफेशन के साथ कुछ गलत कर रहा हूँ। क्योंकि हर एक बच्चे को सेटिस्फाई जब तक मैं नहीं करूँगा, मैं नहीं बोल सकता कि मैंने जो आज लेक्चर डिलीवर किया, मैं खुद खुश नहीं होता था। तो जैसा सर ने कहा, तो हमने भी सीखा है अपने जो सीनियर टीचर थे कि हमको कैसे लेक्चर डिलीवर करना है, क्योंकि उन दिनों में 2000 की जब मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, बीआईटी में क्लास लेना इट इज़ नॉट ए जोक। क्योंकि उस समय में जो ड्रॉप आउट स्टूडेंट थे, और वो बहुत ही शार्प स्टूडेंट, ब्राइट स्टूडेंट थे, जो क्रीम था डीपीएस का, डीएवी का, वो सब उठ के आता था। और अगर हम वहाँ पे बिना प्रिपरेशन के क्लास में गए तो हमारी क्या यहाँ पे हंसाई हो सकती थी। तो हमको इस चीज़ का हमेशा डर रहता था कि अगर मैं 60 स्टूडेंट की क्लास में हूँ और कहीं से ऐसी कोई क्वेरीज आती है जिसको मैं सेटिस्फाई नहीं कर पाऊंगा, तो मुझे गिल्टी फील होगी कि मैंने सेटिस्फाई नहीं कर पाया और कहीं ना कहीं मैं नाइंसाफी कर रहा हूँ और मुझे इस प्रोफेशन में रहने का हक नहीं। तो सबसे पहली बात ये थी कि मैं खुद एवरेज स्टूडेंट रहा हूँ, आई वॉज नॉट ए ब्रिलियंट स्टूडेंट, बट मैंने ये चीज सोचा कि अगर आप स्टूडेंट को पढ़ाना है तो स्टूडेंट को आप ये मान के चलिए कि मैं एक एवरेज स्टूडेंट हूँ और मेरे को हर एक चीज को जानना जरूरी है किसी भी टॉपिक में। कि अगर इंजीनियरिंग में, अगर मैं इंजीनियरिंग की बात करता हूँ, कि अगर इंजीनियर ने कुछ भी, कोई भी स्टेटमेंट बोला तो उसके पीछे लॉजिक है, विदाउट लॉजिक कुछ नहीं इंजीनियर बोल। तो जब भी कोई इंजीनियर कुछ चीज बोल रहा है, देयर मस्ट बी सम लॉजिक। और वो लॉजिक कहाँ से आया? कि उसने उसको एनालाइज किया, उसका कहीं ना कहीं उसने रिजल्ट देखा है, ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दोज रिजल्ट, ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दोज एनालिसिस वो बोल रहा है कि हाँ ये चीज है, ये सेंटेंस किसी के बारे में, तो वो सेंटेंस के पीछे क्या लॉजिक है ये जानना बहुत जरूरी है। तो ये बहुत बड़ी बात है, बहुत बड़ा सम्मान है मेरे लिए कि आज मैं आप लोग के सामने खड़ा हूँ। और मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि जैसा सर ने कहा, सर ने मेरे नोट्स को रेफर किया है अपने समय में और उन्होंने ये सारी चीज़ें अडॉप्ट की, इसलिए इट्स वेरी प्राउड मोमेंट फॉर मी। रही बात, बेसिकली आई एम ए इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स इंजीनियर। आई डिड माई डिप्लोमा, देन बीटेक, देन एमटेक, देन पीएचडी, ऑल इन इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स। बट कुछ समय बाद मैं मैक्सिमम टाइम एनसीआर में रहा, तो मैंने रियलाइज करना चालू किया कि इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स में अभी ज़्यादा कुछ बचा नहीं है। क्योंकि मैंने 20-22 साल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स में टीचिंग करने के बाद मुझे लगा कि नहीं, कुछ नई टेक्नोलॉजी को लर्न करना है। एक मेरे अंदर एक जुनून जरूर था कि कोई भी नई टेक्नोलॉजी आती थी तो मैं उसको अडेप्ट करता था। आई एम वेरी मच कंफर्टेबल इन आईओटी। I am comfortable with Raspberry Pi. I am comfortable with Jetson Nano. Nowadays, the hardware implementation of machine learning, deep learning can be done with the help of Jetson Nano. It's a credit card size a computer with GPU capability. GPU. How many of you have heard about GPU? What is the full form of GPU? Graphical Processing Unit. Mostly we do programming of deep learning. If you want to analyze the image data or video, if you want to do a video processing, so you must require GPU processor, because a large volume of data, when we talk about the large volume of data, we require GPU processor. Otherwise, we do analyze with the help of CPU, but it takes a lot of time. And there is a possibility of the reduced accuracy, or we can say that as compared to GPU, the accuracy is not up to the mark. So we generally prefer GPU. So I'm very much comfortable with Raspberry Pi, Arduino, Node MCU, then Jetson Nano, the implementation of the machine learning algorithm, deep learning algorithm in Jetson Nano. So this is good thing for me that I always prefer to learn the new technologies. So started learning from Python programming, then we'll go for the machine learning. What are the different algorithm? What are the different methods? So if I'm talking about the machine learning, that the model required to train, the main thing is that data. So if anything which is required to train a model, that is data. We have a lot of data, lot of sources are there from where we can get the data. So the thing is that how to process the data. Generally, everyone will talk about the machine learning, but if you want to design a model, if you want to uh, use a particular algorithm, how you decide what are the main parameters which is required through which we can say that the data or the model required for the supervised machine learning or unsupervised machine learning or reinforcement learning. So main thing is nothing but the data. So we'll start this course with the help of Python programming, because this is the backbone of this machine learning. You might aware about, you might have the knowledge of Python programming, but what is the main use or which portion is more important in machine learning, that is very, very important. We cover the complete Python that programming course in this particular the AI and data science. So we'll start from the Python programming from the coming this Wednesday. We'll start the Python programming, the basic programming, and we'll cover this Python programming with hands-on. So I request all the students, those who want to join this course, so please bring the laptops, because if you want to do this with me, this Python programming, then it is very much easy for you to get the actual idea, actual knowledge of Python programming. So let's start the Python programming. So to implement the machine learning part, we need to understand the certain library of Python programming. Those libraries are NumPy, that is numerical Python, then the pandas, then the matplotlib. So pandas are used to convert the unstructured data into the structured data. We can call that data frame. So why we need unstructured, or generally the data is available in the unstructured form. So we need to convert into the structured data. So what is the meaning of that structured data? Anybody who's having the idea what is structured data? Yes, very correct. So the data which is in the form of table, that is in the form of rows and column. We have the column name, we have the row number. So with the help of those index, this is nothing but the index. So row number and the column name is nothing but the index number. So with the help of those index number, we can able to locate, or we can able to identify the value of this particular data. So we convert the data, unstructured data, into the structured data with the help of pandas library, that is called the data frame. Then once the data frame, the data is converted into data frame. So on the basis of the target value, the very, very important aspect in any machine learning model is that what is the target of this data, whether the target is the classification or the discrete value 1 or 0. So it is a problem of classification, because we need to identify which algorithm is suitable for machine learning, whether it is supervised machine learning or unsupervised machine learning or reinforcement learning. So we have in supervised machine learning, we have two methods generally, that is the classification method and regression method. If we talk about supervised machine learning, the two methods which comes into picture, that is nothing but the classification and regression. So how you understand that the particular data, the target, if the target in the form of yes and no, 1 and 0. So definitely the values are nothing but the discrete value. Yes means 1, no means 0. 1 means yes and 0 means no. So if the target is in the form of discrete value, it means that that problem belongs to classification. We need to classify something. Example, suppose if you want to predict heart disease, a person is heart disease or not. So if the target is yes or no, if the outcome is yes, it means that the person is heart disease. If the outcome is no, it means that it is not a heart patient. So this way we can classify the problem on the basis of data. So before implementing any method, any algorithm in machine learning, you need to identify the target. What is regression? If your target is continuous with respect to another variable, I'm giving the example, the amount of rainfall with respect to temperature is nothing but the regression. So you have the data set in which at different temperature, we have different values of rainfall in centimeter. So on the basis of those, we can say that the value of one variable is totally dependent with the another variable. So we can analyze those value on the basis of the temperature, means on that much amount of temperature, that much centimeter is nothing but the rainfall. So this is nothing but the example of regression. So this two problem which comes under supervised machine learning, that is nothing but the classification and the regression. So on the basis of target value, you can easily identify that this is the supervised machine learning. And what is supervised machine learning? Any idea? Yes, this is very, very important point, because when we talk about supervised machine learning, so very much thing which is required to know that in case of supervised machine learning is that we need labeled data. In case of supervised machine learning, we need labeled data, and there must be some supervisor. Suppose I am taking a class, so I am supervising that this is the method, this is the way to solve a problem, and this is the approach to solve a problem. So this is the role of supervisor, or this is the role of teacher, to guide the student, to teach the student what is the exact approach, what is the method which is used to solve the problem. Means I am supervising. So when supervising means we are giving some labeled questions, some known question, and we have the solution of those questions. We know the solution of those questions. Take. So we have the questions and we know the solution of those questions. That is nothing but the example of supervised learning. What is the unsupervised learning? First thing is that we don't use label data. हम यहाँ पे label data नहीं कर सकते. The student will itself find the solutions. उसको solution भी नहीं मालूम है. Questions हैं, solution किया. 3-4 student का answer अगर same आता है तो this is the solution of that particular problem. So this is nothing but unsupervised learning. There is no supervisor. You do the group studies, and by observing the result, if you get the same answers of that particular questions, it means that this is nothing but the example of unsupervised learning. Okay. So I'm simplify this. In case of supervised learning, we are using this two different foods, that is the labeled food, apple and mango. So this is nothing but the example of labeled data. On the basis of those, if we passes the new data in the trained model, because we use this labeled data to train the model. Once the model is trained, we use new data or the test data. On the basis of those test data, it will predict that this particular the fruit belongs to the mango or the apple. It means that the model is trained, the accuracy is up to the mark, up to the level. So this is nothing but the supervised. But in case of unsupervised machine learning, again, we have two methods, that is clustering and association. When we talk about the unsupervised machine learning, we have clustering and association. And I'm giving the example of clustering. Suppose some companies will that give a particular task to a machine learning engineer. Suppose the company wants to, that telephone company wants to increase the revenue of the company. So we have two group of customer, one having the maximum data uses, and another is nothing but the maximum call. Maximum, we can say that talk time. We have two group of customer, maximum data and maximum talk time. Normally the aged person required the talk time, and the young one required the uses of data. So we have two group of customer. Now the problem comes into picture that how to maximize the revenue. So certainly on the basis of those data, we have two different group of clusters, and we suggest a certain kind of the plans. So if you recharge your phones with this value, we get the 100% talk time free, but 1.5 GB data. A lot of the offers comes into the picture. So this is the way through which we can use the unsupervised machine learning approach. The another approach is nothing but the association. So we have three customers, customer 1, customer 2, and customer 3 from the big mart, or we can say that supermarket. So suppose the customer 1 will buy a bread and milk, customer 2 also buy bread and milk, and other 2 more products. So how to predict that customer, if the customer 3 will buy a particular bread, then what is the possibility that he will buy milk also? So on the basis of the previous record, on the basis of the behavior of the previous 2 customers, once the customer 3 will buy a bread, definitely he will go to purchase a milk also. So this is nothing but the association where the common behavior of the people or the customer is grouped, or we can say that we associate those behavior, we combine those behavior to predict the output. So this is nothing but the association of the unsupervised machine learning. Now, the another method which comes into picture in case of the machine learning is nothing but reinforcement learning. So maximum use nothing but the game playing, we use reinforcement learning. If I am talking about the chess game, so here the chess is nothing but the environment where the player will play the chess, and the agent is nothing but the the person is nothing but the agent, or what is the ultimate goal is nothing but losing and winning the game. So here there is a continuous feedback is that when we move in the right direction, so definitely you will gain a point. But if you move in the wrong direction, you definitely lose a point. So this is a kind of feedback that is reinforcedly applied to that to move the player in the direction to win the game. So this is the approach which is required in case of reinforcement learning. So what is the basic difference if I'm talking about the AI, ML and deep learning? So what is the main difference is that we can say that the AI is nothing but in broader sense, we can think that AI is in the broader sense, machine learning, the subset of AI, and deep learning is further subset of deep learning. So what is artificial intelligence? It is a branch of computer science which deals to make the device as a smart device. If I'm talking about, we have the example of smartwatch. So in this smartwatch and the normal watch, the normal watch simply will give the time, but smartwatch will also, we have different features. So the main thing is that your smartwatch, your smart device will think itself, and according to that, it will take the decision. Another example is nothing but the driverless car manufactured by nowadays manufactured by the Tesla company. So these driverless cars are the example of AI. It is a very beautiful example of artificial intelligence. So driverless cars means we don't require driver to drive a car. The car itself take the decision, and accordingly it will drive itself. So the device which will take the decision and it will behave like that. So this is the example of this smart device. So this is nothing but the artificial intelligence, how to implement the smartness or the things accordingly. The device will make their own decision and it will perform. Another thing is nothing but machine learning. So machine learning is nothing but we need to implement the AI. If you want to make any device a smart device, we need to implement the machine learning. But for machine learning, we require data. So for training any model, we required the data. Data may be in the form of the text data, it may be image data, it may be video, lot of different forms of data. We have CSV form, we have Excel form, a lot of TSV form, tab separated value, comma separated value, Excel files like that. So different kinds of the data. So we require this data to train the model. We split the data. What are the main steps in the machine learning? First thing is that we need to get the data, acquire the data, split the data into the train and test. So generally we take 80-20%. So 80% data is used for training percent, 20% data is used for the testing purpose. So this 20% data is nothing but the unseen data, means मशीन ने उस डेटा को कभी देखा नहीं. जैसे मैंने 10 क्वेश्चन कराया, 8 क्वेश्चन मैंने आपको क्लास में कराया, 2 क्वेश्चन मैंने कराया ही नहीं, आपने देखा ही नहीं, और उस 2 क्वेश्चन पे मैंने आपका टेस्ट लिया to evaluate that कि आपने कितना learn किया. That is the same thing is that in machine learning we use 80% data for training the model and 20% data is used for testing the model. So on the basis of this test data, if the model will predict correctly, it means that the model is trained properly. The accuracy of the model is up to the mark. So this is nothing but the, then after training the model, we need to deploy the model. So once the model is trained, we need to deploy the model. So these are the different steps, necessary steps, which is required in machine learning. And what is deep learning? In deep learning, we use some neural network, artificial neural network, convolution neural network, then recurrent neural network, RCN, ANN, and CNN. ठीक? So these neural network nothing but, if I'm talking about, if we correlate with neural network, with nothing but the neuron of the human brain, where the neuron will passes the information from one neuron to another neuron. Similarly, in neural network, we have different kinds of layer. So the information is passes from the input layer, from input layer to another layer, layer 1, layer 2, up to the n layer. And on the basis of those data, those information, the model will train. That is nothing but the deep learning. Means the, in case of deep learning, we get the deep information, deep insight from the data. This is nothing but the deep learning. So these are the things which need to cover in this AI and data science. The first thing is that Python programming is very, very important. We need to cover all this Python programming, all these necessary things which is required to train the machine learning model. Then in machine learning, we'll cover all the methods: supervised machine learning, then unsupervised machine learning, then reinforcement learning, different algorithms which are used in case of the supervised machine classification. We have 8 to 10 different algorithms only for classification. If I'm talking about the classification, we have logistic regression, we have decision tree, we have random forest classifier, we have nearest neighbor classifier, then support vector machine, then gradient boosting. Lot of methods are there. So for the classification, we have different kinds of algorithm. For regression, we also have different, we can use random forest for the regression also. So these are the things we need to cover. What is the maths behind that? What are the logics required to develop those algorithms? This is the main thing we need to know, because the first unit of this course is nothing but the statistics and probability. So you must have the proper knowledge of the probability and statistics, then the linear algebra also. So these 2 units is nothing but the part of, the first is nothing but probability and statistics, then second is linear or the vector algebra. Then we have some calculus part also. And then we have the machine learning, then artificial intelligence. So these are nothing but the total syllabus. So for machine learning, you need to identify how to perform the various mathematical operation, what is the necessary functions for the NumPy library, how to use NumPy library for numerical computation, how to get the average value, maximum value, mean value, standard deviations. So different mathematical function we need to perform with the help of numerical Python library. Then various the functions which related with the pandas library, how to delete the column, how to add the column, how to change the value, how to deal with the we can say that null value. It is very much common term, null value, how to replace those null value, because how what is the different kind of data pre-processing. Data pre-processing is very, very important in machine learning. जितना डेटा आपका क्लीन होगा उतना ही मॉडल का आउटपुट क्या होगा, एक्यूरेट होगा, और वी कैन से दैट एफिशिएंट मॉडल कह सकते हैं. तो डेटा प्री प्रोसेसिंग वेरी वेरी important aspect in case of machine learning. What are the standardization method, what are the normalization method, how to deal with this null value. So these things is very, very important. So this can be done with the help of the pandas library. Then if you want to visualize the data, we use matplotlib library and seaborn library for the Python. So matplotlib is generally used for the 2-dimensional plot. For the more plot, if you want to perform the violin plot and different kinds of plot, so you go for the seaborn library. So these are nothing but the Python library which are used to display the or visualize the data in different kinds of plot. We have the bar plot, we have the scatter plot, we have the pie chart also, we have the box plot. So different kinds of plots are there. So this kinds of plot we can that perform with the help of the different kinds of library, that is nothing but matplotlib and the seaborn library. So this matplot, you want to ask something? No. So matplotlib is nothing but a very useful library. What is the main use of those library? Means you can visualize the data generally. So with the help of this visualization, you can identify the data, what is the maximum number of groups which are present in the particular area, which group of person is more affected with the help of data. Means if you want to apply the algorithm, if you want to train the model, then the visualization is very, very important aspect. Means you can understand, or you can have the insight from the data. Means these are the data which is very much important to consider while training the model. So these things are very, very important and required. You visualize the data, you can identify the data, identify the nature of the data by using the histogram plot, then the scatter plot, bar plot, like that. Then once the data is visualized, you can use those data, you can analyze the data, you can get the meaningful insight from the data. That is nothing but the data science. What is data science? Data science is nothing but to extract the meaningful information from the data, is nothing but the data science, or to analyze the data to present the result, or to represent the output from the data, is nothing but the data analysis. To analyze the data, visualize the data, then only you can show the results to the customer that this is the meaning of your data and this is the analysis which comes out with the help of data. This is nothing but the data science. So this is the approach through which we can proceed for this particular data science and AI, which is introduced recently in the GATE exam. So if you want to ask anything, so you are always welcome. If we start from the August, so probably in the month of December, we'll complete this course, because in February, you might have the exam, no? So we'll try to complete this till December. Yeah. Anything else we want to ask? Huh? Books, for a lot of books are there, a lot of good books. Mastering Machine Learning. I forgot the name of author. I will definitely forward this. Mastering Machine Learning. Then we have some good YouTube channels also, YouTube videos also. Some good. Generally, that I preferably and personally that we can say that I refer those with YouTube, that is Simply Learn, Edureka, and Great Learning. Generally, these are the good channels through which we can able to learn those things, but it is only depends upon the number of projects you handle. It is not like that you just refer those YouTube channels, but they give the limited knowledge. The main thing is that if you want to learn completely the machine learning, or if you want to make your expertise in the field of machine learning, so you need to handle different kinds of projects. So how many projects you handle, those projects is very, very important, because the main thing in machine learning is nothing that you need to understand the nature of data. That is very, very important part in because machine learning is nothing about all depends upon the data. Once the data is there, then only you can able to predict something with the help of those data. If you are not having the understandability of what is the data, what is the nature of data, what is the target value, how to proceed the training process for training the particular model, you cannot do anything. This is the basic step. अगर आपने ट्रेनिंग करना ही नहीं सीखा, आपको पता ही नहीं चलेगा कि कौन सा मॉडल लगाना है, कौन सी मेथड लगानी है, कौन सा अप्रोच यूज करना है. तो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है डेटा जो है आपका रॉ डेटा रहेगा. जनरली आपके पास जो भी डेटा मिलेगा, जैसे अगर रियल टाइम का प्रॉब्लम, रियल वर्ल्ड का प्रॉब्लम, सो डेटा इज इन दी अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड फॉर्म, रॉ डेटा रहेगा. यू नीड टू क्लीन दोज डेटा, और क्लीनिंग में ही हालत खराब हो जाती है. डेटा क्लीन करने में कई कई ऐसे पैरामीटर्स ऐसे होते हैं जो हम अगर उसको छोड़ दें तो आपकी जो एक्यूरेसी है वो अचीव नहीं हो पाएगी. सो वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट विच पैरामीटर इज रिक्वायर्ड टू कंसीडर. जब हम को रिलेट करते हैं डेटा का, तो कुछ नेगेटिवली को रिलेटेड होते हैं, कुछ पॉजिटिवली को रिलेटेड होते हैं. तो अगर किसी पॉजिटिव को रिलेटेड डेटा को आपने छोड़ दिया, तो डेफिनेटली इट विल रिड्यूस द एक्यूरेसी ऑफ. So you need to identify that the correlation matrix will give the information which data is highly correlated and which is negatively, positively correlated and negatively correlated. So this thing is very, very important. So you need to understand the nature of the data, visualize the data, then only you can able to understand that which model is required and how to train the model. Anything else you want to? Yeah. Python, a lot of things are there. I generally prefer the Jupyter notebook, Anaconda. You can also do the same coding with the help of PyCharm, VS Code also. So generally, this Anaconda is very small, that open source software. So I generally prefer the Anaconda, and in this Jupyter, a lot of libraries are there. We have NumPy, Matplotlib, then Pandas, also the part of that. Once you download the Anaconda, all these libraries are automatically downloaded. So I generally prefer this Anaconda. VS Code is also. But the main thing is that in case of VS Code, if you want to analyze anything, so the plot which comes out the different scheme, that separate screen pop-up. So you need to switch from main code to the plot. But in case of this, that Jupyter notebook, at the same time, your code is in at the top and the plot comes out at the bottom. So you can easily analyze that. You can easily diagnose or debug the fault of your program. So this is the thing. That's why I generally preferred to go for the Jupyter notebook. Otherwise, a lot of the Python environment is there. We can use those environment for Python programming or machine learning programming. But NetBeans software, sorry, I'm not having any idea. दोनों प्रैक्टिकल एंड न्यूमेरिकल. जो न्यूमेरिकल पार्ट रहेगा, जैसे मान लो कि अगर एक मैं लॉजिस्टिक रिग्रेशन बताऊंगा या सपोर्ट वेक्टर मशीन बताऊंगा, तो डेफिनेटली विल कवर व्हाट इज द मैथ्स बिहाइंड दोस, द एल्गोरिथम और दोस मॉडल और दोस मेथड, देन ओनली वी कैन then after we'll cover these things. The maths is also then hands-on when we complete that programming part. So definitely I request the student to come with the laptop and do the programming with me. Maths part board पे ही cover करेंगे offline class में. Any more question? Yeah. I'm talking about the difficulty part, because Python is very simple programming language. If you don't have any idea of programming language, I think you might have some knowledge of C and C++ programming. So if you have, or even the microprocessor and microcontroller, 5th semester. So the logic will same. Any programming language, the logic will same. Only the syntax will differ. So the logical, if you have a good logical approach, how to solve or how to implement those logic for a particular program. So you need to concentrate on the different syntax for the different kind of language. And I am talking about the Python. So the Python is very simple, that syntax. It is we can say that very simple and very few lines of codes required to complete the particular task. Suppose I'm giving the example, if you want to swap the value x and y, suppose x is 2, y is 3. If you want to swap the value, we require another variable. So we require 3 variable. Without using 3 variable, we cannot change or swap the value. But in case of Python, x comma y is equals to y comma x. पहले आपको define करना पड़ेगा x is equals to y is equals to 3. Then write a statement x comma y is equals to y comma x. It will swap the value. So only one statement will swap the value. Only we require only two variables. So this is the way through which we can say that. And once you start learning Python, very simple programming language, the syntax are very simple. The logics are same. If you have a good logic, good understandability of the approach of the program, then you can able to learn Python. We have the concept of for loop, we have the concept of while loop, we have the concept of if else statement. Then what is the use of those things, how to implement those things in machine learning? So the machine learning, it is nothing but we need to understand the approach, how the different methods are used to perform a particular task. So we need to understand those methods, and this is not a typical one. You need to do these things. If you practice, there is no problem, I think. So there is no difficulty. If you talk about it, I'm an electronics guy or I am a civil engineer student. So this is not a problem. किस टाइप के क्वेश्चन पूछे जाएंगे? तो इसमें जो क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाएंगे जनरली, जो आपका गेट के स्टैंडर्ड के जो क्वेश्चंस रहते हैं, जनरली पाइथन है या उसका सिंटेक्स है, सिंटेक्स से रिलेटेड की विच इज द करेक्ट सिंटेक्स. Suppose I'm talking about the machine learning models, which is the correct syntax to train the model. Yeah. MSQ questions. Yeah. MSQ questions रहेंगे, न्यूमेरिकल्स रहेंगे. Yeah. Definitely सर बन पाएंगे, definitely बन पाएंगे. क्योंकि we compute the confusion matrix, the score of the confusion matrix. What is the mathematical portion which is required? What is the true value, true negative value, true false negative value, false positive value, and the true positive value? So these values will give the numerical result, numerical value of the confusion matrix for the particular algorithm. So this type of question may come. Okay.